We're just missing one more counselor for our quorum. Council Bravo is online. We have Council Fletcher and Council Perks in the room. Deputy Mayor Malik is away today. And Council Sachs will be in at 10 a.m. this morning. Okay, Councilor Bradford is here. Councilor Bravo, do you mind turning your camera on for quorum purposes? Okay, we can get started. We're good to go? Okay. Good morning. My name is Councilor Chris Moyes. I'm the chair of the Toronto and East York Community Council. Chair, we do have quorum. I'm now calling meeting 18 to order. Welcome, everyone. Can we keep the chowder down, please? Today's meeting is being held by video conference and in person at City Hall in Committee Room 1. This meeting is also being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. Although we may be meeting in different locations today, the Toronto and East York Community Council would like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territories of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. As a Caribbean Canadian, I am committed to continually acting in solidarity with our African, Caribbean, and Black communities, seeking freedom and reproductive justice in light of the history and ongoing legacy of slavery that continues to impact our communities across Canada. As part of this commitment, I would also like to acknowledge that not all people came to these lands as migrants and settlers. Specifically, I wish to acknowledge those of us who came here involuntarily, particularly those brought to these lands as a result of the transatlantic slave trade and slavery. In support of the City of Toronto's ongoing efforts to confront anti-Black racism, I pay tribute to those ancestors of African, Caribbean, and Black origins of descent. If you are registered to speak at today's meeting, please listen to me, or for me, to call your name. I will call speakers in the order they appear on the list. The list of speakers can be viewed online by visiting the Toronto and Eastern Community Council page at toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. Members, the City Clerk has provided all agenda materials on toronto.ca/council and on CMP, the Clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT staff are available to members if you need help with your devices. I also want to remind you to please submit and approve your motions by email. Staff are available at tycc@toronto.ca to help with motions. Are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? If you do have an interest, please raise your hand or unmute your mic and indicate the item number and the nature of the interest. Seeing none, before we begin the agenda run-through, may I have a motion to add new business items TE 18.30?
Confirm the minutes. Confirm the minutes.
Sorry. Thank you. May I have a motion to confirm the minutes from the meeting on October 24, 2024? Councillor Bradford, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Before we begin the agenda run-through, may I have a motion to add new business items TE 18.39 to TE 1865? Councillor Perks, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, on a point of order, there's an issue I'd like to raise at this point. Over the last couple of days, I received a number of requests from city staff to submit a letter to the committee for new business. In those letters, there was no staff report attached. Effectively, what this does is it has us adding items to the agenda that, as far as the public knows, the councillor just sat down and wrote a letter about. So the decision-making and how we came to that is not traceable. I want to encourage city staff that in future, that if they're asking councillors to add an item, whether it's a speed bump or whatever, that they produce a report that we can attach to that letter, or if they're not able to do that, to hold the item off to the next meeting so they have time to do it.
Thank you, Councillor Perks. It's noted. Thank you. Okay, item TE 18.1 to TE 18.16 are timed items, so we will begin the run-through at item TE 18.17. 17. So Councillor Sachs is away till 10 a.m., so I'm going to hold down any of her items. And Deputy Mayor Malik is away, so Councillor Fletcher is going to move her items on her behalf. Okay, so TE 18.17. Changes to Business Improvement Area Board of Management. Councillor Perks. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 18.18. Encroachment Appeal 495 to. Okay. TE 18.18, Encroachment Appeal, 495 to 517 Wellington Street West, proposed ground sign. Councillor Fletcher.
The Deputy Mayor would like to defer that to January 14th, please.
Okay. Do I need the motion or just?
We have a motion.
Okay. All those in favor of deferral? Opposed? Carried. T 18.19, 316 to 336 Campbell Avenue, construction staging area phase 1. Councillor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations, please.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 18.20, 31 and 33 Parliament Street construction staging area. Councillor Deputy Mayor Malik, which is.
Move the staff recs.
We need her to adopt the recs in the supplementary report.
Pardon me?
Recs of the supplementary.
Oh, to move the recs with the supplementary report, Chair.
Okay, there's a motion on the screen coming. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 18.21. That is Councilor Sachs. I'm going to hold that. TE 18.22, 363 to 391 Young Street, construction staging area. There is speakers on that item. TE 18.23, there's speakers on that item, I believe, right? No speakers?
Speakers on 20.
Clearly, I'm having a slow start. Okay.
It's okay. First day of snow. You're just getting your snow tires on, Chair.
All right, TE 18.22, 363, 391 Young Street, construction staging area. I do have a amendment. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Item is amended, please.
Item is amended. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. TE 18.23, Ontario Line fourth quarter construction update.
Chair,
Yep.
just like to hold that because I think I'm going to defer that till January.
Okay.
I'd like to defer.
Do you want to defer it or you want to hold
Yes, I
it?
would like to defer it, but I don't have the motion ready, so.
Okay. If
Oh,
want to
will you? All right, thank you.
Okay,
And just
defer
note
to-
that
okay.
there's quite a bit of correspondence that I've put on about pile driving at Christmas time, Grinch style, but I think it got fixed, but I'm just ask you and others to append the information that they're getting on the Ontario line to our committee.
Okay, we'll defer that item to January. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. T 18.24, a summary of traffic impacts related to the proposed Ontario Place, 955 Lakeshore Boulevard West redevelopment. Councilor Fletcher? for
Yes, I
council.
think we're deferring, yes, deferring to so much interesting information that might be part of that in January, Chair, that the
We're going to defer that to
the
January?
Deputy Mayor would like to defer that to
Okay.
January.
All those in favor of deferral? Opposed? Carried.
Yes.
TE 18.25, accessible parking spaces, December 2024. Councilor Bradford.
Move the recommendations, please.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. You guys got to put your hands up, eh?
What-
It's good exercise. TE 18.26, accessible parking spaces, December 2024. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations, please.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. T 18.27, realignment of permit parking area 7L to exclude the developments located at 100 and 130 River Street. And that is my item, 13. I'm going to adopt staff's recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 18.28, introduction of new overnight on-street permit parking, area 7L, and exclusion of various addresses. That is my item. I'm going to adopt staff's recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 18.29, pay and display parking, Berryman Street. That is Councilor Sachs. I'm going to hold that down. TE 18.30, parking amendments, Young Street. Councilor Matlow.
I move to approve staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 18.31, Metrolinx Ontario Line temporary parking bylaw amendments on Church Street. I'm going to receive this report. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 18.32, Metrolinx Ontario Line temporary traffic and parking bylaw amendments on Strange Street.
This is the happiest Metrolink story today, just so they can have some parking next to the women's housing that's going to be interrupted for 2 years. So I'll move that.
Okay. All those in
Just the
favor?
parking relations. Thank you.
You're moving that, right? Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 18.33, turn prohibition, Donlands Avenue and O'Connor Drive. Councilor Fletcher.
Yes, I'll move the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. T 18.34, that's Councilor Sachs. I'll hold that for her. TE 18.35, appointments to the Central Eglinton Community Center Board of Management. Councillor Matlow.
I move the, the recommended names.
Opposed, carried. TE 18.36, appointment of public members to the Moss Park Arena Board. I'm going to adopt staff's recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.37, Crawford Street Community Safety Zone. Councilor Fletcher,
That would be referred back to staff, please.
referring back to staff. There's a motion. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.38, traffic calming and parking amendments, Dale Avenue. That is Councilor Sachs. I'm going to hold that down as well. TE 18.39, reduction of length of accessible loading zone at 90 Dunn Avenue, formerly 150 Dunn Avenue, to accommodate wheel trans service. Council,
Move the recommendations in the letter.
all those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.40, Albert Avenue Road Safety Review. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the staff recommendations, please.
The Rex in your letter.
I'm sorry, the recommendations in my letter. I'm a little sick today, Chair.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Hope you get better soon, Councilor Bravo. TE 18.41, Davenport Road and Osler Street intersection safety review. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter, please, Chair.
All those in favor? All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.42, Delaware Avenue North parking amendments. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.43, Guerrero Avenue Mobility and Public Realm Strategy Implementation Plan. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.44, Gladstone Avenue and Peel Avenue parking amendments. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.45, installation of speed hump on Gladstone Avenue between Hallam Street and DuPont Street. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.46, installation of speed humps on Harrison Street between Dover Court Road and Ossington Avenue. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.47, installation of speed humps on Rusholme Road between Dundas Street West and Collis Street. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.48, installation of speed humps on Westport Avenue between Old Western Road and Public Lane east of Old Western Road and south of Davenport Road. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.49, Harrison Street parking amendments. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.50, McRoberts Avenue Road Safety Review. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.51, Ward Street parking amendments. Councilor Bravo.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter, Chair.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. You can take a break now, Councilor Bravo. TE 18.52, King Street at Bathurst Street taxi stand adjustment. Councilor Fletcher.
Yes, this is to introduce this letter from the Deputy Mayor and approve the recommendations in the letter, please.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.53 is Councilor Sachs. I'll hold this item down. TE 18.54 is Councilor Sachs. I'll hold this item down. TE 18.55 is Councilor Sachs. I'll hold this item down. TE 18.56 is Councilor Sachs. I'll hold this item down. TE 18.57 is Councilor Sachs. I'll hold this item down. TE 18.58, amending parking restrictions on Chiltern Hill Road. Councilor Matlow.
Which item number?
58.
I'd appreciate you holding that down for a moment.
Okay, hold. T 18.59, traffic calming measures on Hector Avenue, Councillor Matlow.
I was just working on the last item. Could you just repeat that?
Item 59, traffic calming measures on Hector Avenue.
Hold that down as well, please.
Okay. TE 18.60, commercial loading zone, Jordan Street. I'm going to move the letter, my recs. All those in favor? Those carried. TE 18.61, implementation of permanent parking on Shooter Street between Parliament Street and Sumac Street, permit area 7C. I'm going to move the recommendations in my letter. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 18.62, implementing traffic calming in Regent Park, Nicholas Avenue, and Sumac Street. I'm going to move the recs in my letter. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. TE 18.63, additional speed humps, Victor Avenue, Council Fletcher.
Introduce and approve the recommendation for one extra speed hump on Victor, please.
Those carried. TE 18.64, installation of
Okay.
backlit chevrons signs in order to increase safety at Woodbine Avenue and Lakeshore Boulevard East Curve. Councillor Bradford.
Sorry. Move the recommendations, please.
All those in favor? Those carried. TE 18.65, traffic calming Barrington Avenue. Councillor Bradford.
Recommendations in my letter, please.
Those carried.
Hey, Mr. Chair, I'm good for the item. If you want to come back.
Okay, let's go back. I'm happy I'm not the only one that's off my game today.
5-8.
5-8?
5-9.
5-8 and 5-9. Okay, TE 18.58, amending parking restrictions on Cheltern Hills Road. Councillor Bradford. It's Councillor Matlow.
I'll move my letter.
All those in favor? Those carried. TE 18.59, traffic calming measures on Hector Avenue. Councillor Matlow.
I will move my letter.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty. And Councillor Sachs is still not here, so we will move on to,
We have some new business that has to be added.
oh, that's right. So we do have two new business items. One second, let me just find my place here.
First one is Austin Chair.
So Councilor Matlow, addressing traffic concerns on Austin Terrace. You want to add this item? All those in favor of adding this item? Opposed? Carried. And Councillor Bradford.
No, we have one more for Councillor Matlow.
Oh, we do, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see it. Councillor Matlow. Reinstalling a traffic control personnel at the intersection of Yonge Street and Heath Street West.
Yes, please.
We'll add those items. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And Councillor Bradford, changes to Danforth Business Improvement Area Boards of Management. Want to add this item?
Yes, please. I'd like to add that item. Thank you.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay. All right. Now that we've gone through that, let's go back to the top of the agenda. TE 18.1, 2400 to 2440 Dundas Street West zoning bylaw amendment decision report. We do have speakers in this item. David Clark, are you here? Okay. You have 5 minutes to appear before committee council. Go ahead.
All right, My name is David Clark, 9 Prince Rupert Avenue, and also a member of the executive of the West Bend Community Association, and I wanted to just raise some concerns that we've got within the neighborhood about this development. So as you may know, this is a Freshco Shoppers Drug Mart site that was converted from core employment use to a mixed use that allowed these developments to go forward. That was in the 2022 timeframe. So in March 2023, Ford Development came forward with a proposal for 2 buildings, 3 towers that would be 18, 25, and 37 stories in height. Following the submission, there were discussions with council or with city staff and with the community, and in June of 2024, Ford Developments came back with a new submission that again proposed 2 buildings, but towers of 42, 37, and 25. So that's about a 39% or 33% increase in the gross floor area of those, and a 39% increase in the number of units that are being proposed on this site. And it also introduced about 15% of units being studios, not really geared for families. And I should point out that the 2 tallest towers are higher than any of the other current or proposed towers in this area, being 27 or 29 stories. So this does represent, you know, a 13-story increase in the height of towers, and those other towers are closer to Bloor Street than this one is. And so, you know, there's really been no justification from Fora as to why the towers need to be as high as they do. As a sort of technical, I guess, setbacks, the tower B2, the 25-story tower, is really set back 3 meters from the property line, which is sort of 5 meters from the curb, and the tower step back is only 2 meters rather than the 3-meter minimum that's in the tall building guidelines. So, you know, I think that doesn't add to the public realm and introduces the potential for, you know, wind driving down to Dundas Street at that point. One of the other main issues we have is affordable units. You know, I think we all understand that affordable housing is an important part of any thriving, equitable community. Well, I do appreciate that there were 11 units added, affordable housing units added to the first phase of this development. That really only represents 2.5% of the total units in that first phase. And overall, it'll only be 5.5% of the total units in this development will be affordable. And that the 11 units that we're getting in phase 1 are coming at the cost of all of our community development charges. So they're gone to get affordable housing. You know, I guess I would encourage city council and the developer to try to figure out a way of getting more affordable housing. This was land that was converted from employment to mixed use to allow these, and it's very short, in my opinion, on the number of affordable housings that we're getting. Community amendments, we are getting 1,000 square meter park, but that's it. This is an area short of libraries, schools, daycares, community centers, and really there's none of that being proposed in this development. And we've lost all of our development, community development charges have gone towards the affordable housing. So it's, you know, I would encourage the city, councilor, et cetera, to try to see how we can increase the number of community benefits. As an association, the West Bend rents space from the school board to have our monthly meetings because there is no community space in the West Bend that we can use. And I guess the last one, go to my notes, is congestion. So anyone that's been by Bloor, Dundas West at rush hour, morning or afternoon, have seen both the traffic congestion. It's not unusual in the morning or afternoon for cars to be backed up 3-4 blocks along Dundas Street waiting to get through that intersection. The number of people crossing through that intersection. So here we have a development with 1,214 units being proposed that is only going to increase the congestion in that area. And so, you know, I think that's likely to increase the probability of accidents, of person-vehicle interactions that are not good. So I would, you know, like to see something done to try to improve the traffic flow through that area. You know, I understand that development is important in this area. It is a major transit hub, but I would want this to be a a thoughtful development for both the current and the future residents of the West Band.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, Deputy? Seeing none, thank you. Claire Riker, are you here? Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, may we begin?
Community. My name is Claire Ricker, and I'm associate with Bousfields Inc., and we are representing the landowner for a development with respect to their development at 2400 to 2440 Dundas Street West. I recognize that today is a full agenda, so I'll keep my presentation brief. So just before jumping in, I wanted to situate us in the city. The subject site is located on the northeast quadrant of Bloor Street West and Dundas Street West, and is located northwest of Bloor Station, which provides riders access to TTC Line 2, the Up Express, and the Kitchener GO Line. And existing on the site today is the vehicular access route to the pedestrian pickup drop-off, or the PUDO, associated with the station. The initial application to redevelop the site was filed in March of 2023, and what followed was a collaborative process working alongside planning staff, particularly Melanie Schneider, Liliana De Silva, and Dan Nicholson, among other department and agency staff, as well as the local community, to arrive at a mixed-use development that will bring new housing, open space, and employment opportunities to a transit-supported location. While the overarching vision for the site remained consistent throughout the review process, the built form elements within the proposal were reorganized to further optimize the lands and achieve the objectives of a complete community. The relocation of the private driveway and the provision of both on-site public park and POPs sought to improve the circulation of vehicles and pedestrians through the site to achieve a phasing strategy that is conducive to the continued use of the grocery store. Further to this, the alignment of the driveway led the team to revisit the siting of the podium building, the tower elements, and incorporate a reconstructed facade of 2400 Dundas into the design of Building A. So all that being said, the proposal on the screen illustrates the development before you today, which represents a true mixed-use development in proximity to a multimodal transit hub. The development is characterized by two distinct development parcels, each anchored by a mixed-use building framing a new centralized public park. 3 towers are proposed and positioned above 2 podium buildings. The site's height peak has been positioned closer to the PUDO and station entrance and is keeping with the emerging pattern of nodal intensification we see along Line 2 west of the downtown and central waterfront. The towers themselves have been sited to ensure appropriate separation distances and access to Skyview is achieved on-site and to adjacent properties. As part of our application, the consulting team reviewed the built form impacts, such as shadow and wind, to understand the appropriateness of the proposed tower elements. Moving on to the uses within the building, the proposal will achieve a mix of housing types and tenures through the provision of purpose-built rental units, market condominiums, and affordable rental housing. Phase 1, shown as Tower A, will be rental and tenure and include affordable housing units secured through an in-kind community benefits contribution. Phase 2, comprised of Building 2 and Towers B1 and 2, will be market units. However, a proportion of these units will be secured as affordable as per the requirements of the site and area specific policy. So in addition to the new residential units, the development will include a new grocery store, opportunities for core employment-related uses such as office, artist studios, media and tech facilities, cultural industry spaces, and small format commercial units, equivalent to about 8% of the total GFA, which is in keeping again with the SASP. As well, a new park is proposed central to the site and a pedestrian POPs connection to the PUDO. I'll note that the vehicular access to the pick and drop-off will be maintained in the full build-out and during construction, but the development will establish a secondary pedestrian-only route to and from the station via the park and the POPs. As I near the end of my presentation, I wanted to highlight the proposed phasing strategy and how it supports the grocery store's ongoing operations on the site. Through the modifications made to the proposal, including the internal road alignment, the existing Fresco can remain in operation as Phase 1 develops. And once complete, the operation can transfer to the new building in Phase 1, resulting in uninterrupted access to the grocery store for the community. With that, that concludes my presentation. I appreciate your time this morning, and again, want to thank staff and the councillor for the efforts in this community building initiative.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, thank you.
I'll also note that the next speaker from Fora Developments will not be speaking this morning.
Maurice Wager?
Yeah.
Wait. Okay, great, wonderful. Thank you. Councillor Parks?
Anybody else who wishes to speak?
Sorry. Anyone else? Anybody else wish to speak on this item? Seeing none. Go ahead, Councillor Parks.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'm going to be moving the staff recommendations. I want to note, this is an enormously complicated site. If you just visualize it for a moment, you're traveling along Dundas, you cross Bloor, and there's that strip of land between Dundas and the railway track. And it's been sitting in fairly low-intensity uses for quite some time. When the city reviewed its core employment, this is one of the areas that staff recommended as an area where we could make a conversion in exchange for protecting some employment use and getting some additional affordable housing. Further, because it's that odd strip of land, the transportation connections simply didn't exist. And one of the problems that we've had, a persistent problem, is the connection between the GO station and the rest of the world. This proposal gives us a new public park. It maintains the grocery store in use constantly throughout, which is one of the key asks from the community. It also gets us in the first phase, our community benefit affordable housing, and in the second phase, the affordable housing that was written into the conversion bylaw. So there is some public benefit here. I do want to agree with the deputant from West Bend, though. The conversations we have about how the public good is achieved in development has been profoundly constrained by several new pieces of legislation from the province of Ontario. One, limiting us to the community benefit charge. Two, the still unresolved questions around how we're handling major transit station areas, and this is one. And three, the real constraints we have in the ability of the community, the planning department, and the developer to work together in improving an application. In this case, the applicant did show considerable flexibility, but we used to be able to do much better. And I look forward to the day when we have a provincial government that understands that achieving the public interest is a key part of every development. So with that, I'll support the staff recommendations.
Okay. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Next item is TE 18.2. 952 King Street West zoning bylaw amendment application, decision report. We do have deputants on this, one deputant in this item. Two deputants in this item. Shaltza Rajan, are you here? Okay, you have 5 minutes.
Got some tech to set up as well.
Just plug in your device, it should come on automatically. Okay, 5 minutes.
Good morning, Chair and members of Community Council. My name is Shaliza Rajan, and I'm a planner at Bousfields. We are the planning consultants for 952 King Street West. I have reviewed the staff report and recommendations, including the recommended approval of the zoning bylaw amendment, and support staff's conclusions. I'm grateful to staff for all their hard work and collaborative efforts in working on the zoning bylaw and supportive recommendations. I'd like to draw your attention to a few highlights from the staff report. Firstly is the contribution to affordable housing, an in-kind contribution to affordable housing being made here. The staff report provides conditions for unit type, size, and affordability period. This is in addition to the 227 new dwelling units being provided. Secondly, I'd like to note that 952 King Street West Holdings, Inc. will be working with city staff and the ward councillor on public art for the future construction hoarding. The public art is part of our client's contribution to animating King Street West and the vibrancy of this neighborhood. Post-construction, new retail space will be provided at the corner of King and Strawn. New sidewalks, street trees will be provided along King Street West, Massey Street, and Strawn Avenue. All 3 street frontages will be animated and be more exciting in the future. From a transit perspective, there is clear direction at the provincial and municipal levels to encourage transit-oriented development, and the subject site is a key opportunity to maximize on these transit connections. The subject site is on King Street West and has direct access to the King streetcar, not to mention the future exhibition GO station and the future King Liberty station. Here on the screen, we have a height map of the area. The height of the proposed building is 17 stories, which continues to fall within the context of tall buildings along King Street West, which includes approvals of up to 20 stories. The proposal continues to be buffered from low-rise residential areas through a combination of step-backs and setbacks, and separation distances. Once again, I'd like to thank staff, and particularly Eileen King and Willie McRae, for their cooperative and supportive spirit over the last few months. I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any questions of the deputies? Seeing none, thank you. Peter Morgan, are you here? Okay. You have 5 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Peter Morgan. I live at 130 Strawn Avenue, so that is a small stone's throw underhand from the 952 King Street West applicant site. I'm here simply to draw City Council's attention to inconsistencies in the applicant's documents that are on the applicant website, the city's application website. Essentially, it is quite a simple inconsistency, and it is one of dates and wind studies and approvals. On Strawn Avenue, Strawn and King, all the way up to Adelaide, given the 111 Strawn development, which is all happening at the same time, we have 3 developments in this one block. A wind tunnel is being created. And the developers are, I suspect they're aware of this because they have all meticulously excluded other buildings from their own wind studies, including buildings from the same developer. So 950 across the street is the exact same developer. It received OLT approval in January 2023, and just a couple of months ago, it got a variance for another 3 stories, even though I brought up some of these same points there at that meeting. So essentially, I think that this developer was hoping that no one at the city would notice or would turn a blind eye, or that no concerned neighbor would notice or would turn a blind eye. But I am a concerned neighbor because in the current wind studies that are attached to the application, the engineers, RWDI, they do acknowledge that there's going to be increased wind if you build just the one building. But the city's own guidelines acknowledge that when you make these tunnels by adding buildings on either side, this drastically increases things. Just this building alone, if none of the other buildings on the block are built, just this building alone will increase the wind according to the city's guidelines in some areas in the winter to not be comfortable for standing, let alone sitting, but only for walking. And I would like to ask City Council to make a motion to not approve this bylaw amendment unless the applicant should update their wind study to reflect all of the current approved buildings that are immediately adjacent to them, namely 950 King Street West and 111 Strawn Avenue. I guess I have a couple more minutes, so I'll add a couple more things. At the hearing a few months ago for 950, it was brought up like, oh, but this is affordable housing. It should be pointed out that 950, the affordable housing is at 90% of market rate, and market rate is a very fluid number. And I wouldn't be surprised if this application is also 90% of market rate. So we're not really getting any major affordability here. Also under Joe Cressy, apparently a lot of money was given to this developer to help this, this affordable housing, and it seems to be a bit of a sham of affordability. Yeah, so just to like clarify the inconsistency, because I have a bit more time I see. So March 2018, the applicant submitted or received a wind study for 950, and again on August 2023 with their second application. But in 952, this application that we're talking about today, they received one in March 2024 and was submitted the next month in April of 2024, April of this year. And even that wind study does not include their own building from just 14 meters over, 14 and a half, 15 meters over. So they're all building up to the building property line. I guess I don't need the rest of my time. My ask is simple. Please do not approve this zoning bylaw amendment unless they go through the proper hoops and do things with honesty and sincerity instead of trying to pass, pull a fast one over everyone in planning and the public.
Yeah, thank you. Any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, thank you. Are there any other speakers on this item? Seeing none. Councillor Fletcher.
Yes, thank you very much. Just like this, to move the staff recommendations, I believe our clerks have that.
Okay.
She moved it, so.
Okay, all those in
We
favor?
don't have that motion?
We don't need it.
The item.
Oh, I'm sorry, just moving the item then.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. Okay, next item is TE8.
Mr. Chair, I should just let you know, so you can let the deputants know, that Deputy Mayor intends to defer this to January 14th.
Sorry,
This
which item?
Item 3?
We're not there. I'm on item 3.
Yes, item 3. She intends to defer item 3 to
Okay.
January 4th. Sorry, not, I think you got 14 and 3. She intends to defer item 3 to January 14th.
Okay, so there are a number of deputants on this item. I would recommend that you come back.
They have the choice of whether it's.
Yeah, I know. You do have the choice.
Sorry, I didn't say what it is. It's TE 18.3, 70-86, Lynn Williams Street, zoning bylaw amendment, decision report approval. And our deputy mayor wishes to defer that until January. So I think deputants need to know what their choices are here.
Yeah.
Thank you. Sorry not to have read that out.
Thank you.
Chair.
As Council Fletcher mentioned, I will not repeat it. This item is being deferred to the January meeting. So those who are listed here to depute, you can choose to depute today or come back in the new year to depute on this item. So I'm gonna, okay. So I'm gonna call your names. Rose Leo, are you here? Okay. Victor Long? Okay. Victor, are you willing to come back in January, or do you want to repeat today?
Hi, this is Victor Leon. I would like to attend the January meeting or speak at the January meeting.
Okay, thank you. Michael Brown, Managing Director of TLT Capital. Are you online or in the room? No? Melissa Somos, are you here? Or online? No? Stephen Cox, online. Stephen, we're going to unmute you.
He's online?
Yep. Do you want to speak today or in January? Stephen? You can speak, you're unmuted.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
I do not have audio at the moment.
Would you like to speak today or in January?
No decisions will be made today. Yeah.
Okay, Kate Cooper, are you here? Yeah, from Boonesfield? Speaking of, you're gonna speak in January. Okay, those. Okay, but you cannot speak in January. It's one or the other. You can?
I'm the applicant.
Well, it's her decision.
If I speak today, then I may not speak in January?
That's correct.
Well, then
By convention, you know.
wait till January.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes.
Okay, thank you. So we will defer this item. You want to put a motion up on the screen? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. TE 18.4, 452 Bathurst Street, zoning bylaw amendment application and city-initiated official plan amendment. Councilor Sachs. Are there any deputants here, this item, or want to speak to this item? Seeing none. Councilor Sachs? Councilor Sachs. 18.4. Okay, we will hold this item down. T 18.5, 45 St. Clair Avenue West, official plan zoning and bylaw amendment application. Council, there are deputants on this item. 18.5. 18.5. Shelsa Rajan, Boonesfield, Inc. Yep, Shelsia Rajan. Okay, you have 5 minutes. 18.5.
Nice to see everyone again.
Yeah.
Good morning again, Chair and members of Community Council. As mentioned previously, my name is Shelisa Rajan, and I'm a planner at Bousfield. I'm here on behalf of the owners of 45 St. Clair Avenue West. I have reviewed the staff report and recommendations, including the recommended approval of the official plan and draft zoning bylaw amendment for 45 St. Clair Avenue West. I'm grateful for staff for all their hard work and collaborative efforts in working on the zoning bylaw and the supportive recommendations. I will keep my remarks brief, but want to highlight a few things about the application before you. The proposal represents an exciting opportunity to replace an existing aging office building with new purpose-built rental housing, high-quality retail space directed towards St. Clair Avenue West, and the introduction of meaningful contributions to the public realm. Specifically, there will be 461 purpose-built rental units created by this development. Along the St. Clair Avenue frontage, the proposal is substantially set back from the lot line, allowing for new landscaping in the form of street trees, planters, and seating areas along St. Clair. Along the laneway to the east, the proposal accommodates for laneway widening and the provision of a new walkway, providing for permeability throughout the block and visibility to the badminton and racket club lands, which is reflective of the planning framework for the area. With respect to retail, there are proposed non-residential spaces at level 1 and level 2 of the proposed development at 45 St. Clair to provide future retail and non-residential opportunities along St. Clair Avenue West. From a transit perspective, the subject site is located steps from St. Clair subway station, approximately 180 meters away, and is located directly adjacent to the St. Clair Avenue streetcar. In essence, the subject site is a stone's throw away from line 1. We have reviewed the staff report and are in agreement with the recommendations. We have also reviewed the conditions of approval and have no concerns. I want to thank staff for their collaborative efforts and representatives of the Badminton and Racket Club for their feedback throughout the process. In particular, I'd like to thank SIPO, David Dreger, and Cameron Wilson. We look forward to working with staff and the community groups in the area as we work through the site plan application process, which is ongoing. I'm here to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for the deputants? Seeing none, thank you. Warren Bethune. Warren Bethune. 5 minutes, go ahead.
Yes, I'm basically speaking on behalf of Calvin Presbyterian Church, which is on Delisle Street. As everybody knows, Section 1.1 under the purposes section of the 1990 Planning Act states that the purpose of the planning is to provide sustainable economic development. Everybody knows about that. But it also says in a healthy natural environment. So this is where we'll focus our attention. City of Toronto, of course, has thought about these things in the matter of tall buildings. When poorly located and designed, it can physically and visually overwhelm a neighborhood. It can block sunlight. This current neighborhood is basically 15 stories high, and the church sunlight does appear in between the buildings. However, at 51 stories, that's an increase of 36 stories, that is a problem. So the 1.3 and 1.4 of the City Toronto Tall Buildings Guideline informs that the Bousfield and Sweeney Sun Shadow study clearly shows that the church's sunlight is blocked. It's not 1 hour, it's every picture in the submission, if you can look at the development guide. These guidelines, while not specifying the church or places of worship, the spirit of the guidelines indicates the new proposals are not to block or limit sunlight from the sensitive areas. We believe it is reasonable that the church would be included in the sensitive areas under the category etc. found in the city development guide. The city can ask the proposer to discuss with the planner the list of sensitive sun shadow properties and ask the proposer to provide alternative building massing. We ask, since that wasn't done and the pictures were taken 1 year or more, the planners and the architects did not contact the church. So we asked that since we could not find these documents in the submission, also we could not find what's called the Natural Heritage Impact Study for our property, and I know Mr. Matlow will be hearing this one, future city park across the road at 15 Delisle Avenue beside the current under construction 1 Delisle Avenue. Sunlight is part of ESG and being sustainable. As you know, plants, flowers, bees, butterflies, the list could go on. All of these things require sunlight, and so do the trees, et cetera, our beautiful roses, et cetera. So within the next 7 days, will the Toronto Chamber Choir will be singing, and people will be coming and attending. When the Orpheus Choir comes and does a presentation, they would like to see sunlight. When the Toronto Children's Choir, which is world famous and enhancing the reputation of Toronto worldwide, which currently meets at this church and does its practicing, it wants sunshine is part of the celebration and joy of the culture. No adjustments or communication to the church was occurred by Manulife. I'll emphasize it's Manulife who's the owner, Bousfields, Sweeney, or any of its consultants. We are not opposed to the development of this site. It can be anywhere from 15 to 51 stories as long as it doesn't block the sunlight on the church and the surrounding creation, and that's where the impact study will take place. We are God's stewards. We look forward to welcoming new and existing neighbors and creatures, because we don't know what the city's planning with the city park, so we're happy to mix it and match. There's no street lights.
Final thoughts, please.
Okay. And so we want to do this, enjoy the sunlight, skylight, and sundown together, and that's the goal. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions, please?
Any questions to the deputant? Go ahead, Councillor
Yes.
Madden.
Welcome, good to see you.
Yes, good to see you too.
I want to understand if I heard you correctly earlier.
Yes.
Did you say that you haven't had, or the church hasn't had, any conversations with the city staff regarding your concerns about sunlight?
Correct.
Did you reach out to the planner?
No, I did reach out to the planner to ask about, I just happened, okay, the illogic of this, which I didn't make in my remarks there, is that she talked to the Racket Club, which is not affected by the 51 stories. The sunlight, as you know, would come north, and so it affects Delisle Avenue. It affects the future city park, it affects the church, it affects Delisle Avenue, because the Planning Act with the notification does 120 meters, and that's good for the Racket Club, which is south on the St. Clair West, but it doesn't do anything for all the people north of St. Clair West.
I hear you. I just want to make sure, though, that you have that opportunity.
I did, under time constraints, I had to, I just happened to read it in the City Toronto Star, and the church happened to have a meeting to be able to discuss it, and all I can tell you, well, I don't want to share my whole life, but I work for Canada Post, and so something's happened since November 15th, and so and if I told you the chaos that occurred with my two children this morning, okay, so therefore
life can
there's
happen.
time limitations.
Yeah.
In terms of my credentials, I have an MBA at Schulich.
Don't worry, you don't need
James
to.
McKellar, I took a city sustainability and urban development with James McKellar, who's the associate dean at Schulich. You and I worked on a bylaw that got passed by the city. So I don't.
You don't need to explain.
I don't need to. I don't think I need to explain my credibility. I have 1,000 batting average and OMB hearings, so I'm not afraid of appeals. So don't worry.
Okay. So I just wanted to clarify. I wanted to clarify the comments that I heard you make earlier.
Yes.
Because I have my staff working with city staff I want to make sure that your very credible voice is heard in the process. So thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Seeing no further questions. Next up is Kathy McDonald, President, Deer Park Residents Group. 5 minutes.
Okay, good morning. So my first comment about this application is to provide some background to the Deer Park area, that we're seeing so many applications for really tall buildings. 50-story buildings seem to be the general average now. I think there are over 10 applications at various stages that are active. More are coming, and they keep getting changed and keep getting bigger. In the meantime, Yonge and St. Clair area is seeing increasing numbers of vacant stores, and this is not the kind of community we want, and we want to make it better. Previous deputants have addressed the issues of wind conditions and how to make acceptable pedestrian areas. This is really critical to our neighborhood. And my colleagues, Greg Nevison and Joe Bogdan, will speak more about the details of the wind issues. But I mean, we're also very concerned about wind studies and how their impacts and how they can be more useful to our building a better Deer Park area. So in particular, we're interested in the Yonge-St. Clair intersection area, which is the center of our community. The intersection area itself is very windy, and we want to see a wind study of the area and how we can make it better. I guess those are my comments, and recommendations are to ensure that there's a way of improving the street frontage for the application in terms of wind impacts on the street, including the inclusion of a major canopy feature, and that there be a wind study of the Yonge-St. Clair intersection area. And then further, we're concerned about about the guidelines the city uses for wind studies and for tall buildings, and are they really effective in creating the kind of buildings we want? That's it.
Thank you. Councilor Matlow has a question for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I just want to clarify, what you're asking for, because what you're asking for really isn't even about a debate over housing units. It's more about, for existing residents and future residents, their quality of life on the ground in the community.
That's correct. Yes.
And that the study shouldn't just be looking at an ad hoc development application, but it should be looking at how all the existing, the approved, and the future developments impact the wind in the area.
Same comment as previous deputants have made.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you.
District study.
Okay, thank you. No further questions. Joseph Bogdan, are you here? 5 minutes.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Bogdan. I am a board member of the Deer Park Residents Group and live in the area. And yes, Councillor Matlow, we are specifically speaking of the broader issue And I think 45 St. Clair is an opportunity to try to expand the ways in which high towers, which now are proliferating our area in great number. And we are in a waiting game where all of these proposals have basically boarded up Yonge Street south of St. Clair on both sides down to Pleasant Boulevard. And at the same time, as you mentioned, Councillor Matlow, we are looking at individual items and not looking at the overall picture in the area, particularly at Yonge and St. Clair. We have had meetings on 45 St. Clair. We understand that the design at the moment does not have a podium to mitigate wind effects. And we would ask that the design, as it goes forward to site plan, consider canopies to mitigate wind, but not just little tongues over entranceways. I believe it's time for canopies to be considered as major urban design architectural elements, which could enhance the public domain as well as the properties themselves, and would urge city planning and council to consider canopies or arcades on public property as part of improving the on-grade life experience of pedestrians. We also have a proposal coming forward in the near future at the southwest corner of Yonge and St. Clair, slated to come forward, if I may use a pun. Again, the whole concept of how that entire intersection is controlled for wind in the public domain. We all know of medieval cities like Bologna, which has wind and snow issues, and the entire medieval city going back to the 15th century is arcaded for pedestrians. I don't think we need to arcade all of Toronto, but I think the public domain needs to become part of the wind studies solutions and not just canopies on site and as minimal as possible. So we welcome further discussion with city planning and council to find ways to create a positive public domain that allows for pedestrians not just to be satisfied through the wind studies that take the average wind conditions per a season. I think that's a wonderful thing for the summer season. It's not quite, I think, adequate when you think of a day like today. Today is a perfect day to be talking about this. If one tries to navigate Yonge and St. Clair today, one has to be brave.
Thank you. Final thoughts, please.
So thank you for your time, and we look forward to working with city planning and council to try to find a way out of this.
Thank you. Any questions for the deputies? Councillor Fletcher.
Thank you for bringing that to our attention. You also mentioned something dear to my heart, which is all of the empty storefronts once you have a development application. And if that doesn't go forward, then you almost have tumbleweeds on the street. And I'm wondering if you have any advice to us about that phenomenon on Toronto's main street, or I have them all over my main streets.
Well, it would be wonderful if there was a way in which developers could continue to operate home hardware stores and small Italian restaurants while they consider whether they can actually build their 50-story tower in 2025 or 2035. It's, and the east side of Yonge Street, from St. Clair down to Pleasant Boulevard, has basically been not properly boarded up, but boarded up for at least 5 years already. And I don't know what control city has over that private property to keep retail operating while they're waiting for something to happen.
Thank you very much. Man after my own heart.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the last person here is Greg Nevison, Deer Park Residents Association.
Good morning, everybody. I'm also on the Deer Park Residents Association Board. I'm also a retired engineer, and I want to talk a little bit more about the wind problems. That's probably what we're most concerned about in our community with all these 50-story buildings that are being approved. The current wind studies that the city relies on are paid for by the developer. And so already there is a bias there. But technically, there's significant flaws in the way they do these wind studies. And I'm going to use this as an example of the building. What they do is they run the building through a wind tunnel, and they use the speed, the average wind speed at Pearson Airport. They do not use the wind speed that exists today on the property. And I'll use today as a good example. I walked out of my house this morning, a little bit of wind, not much. I got to Yonge and St. Clair and I almost blew away. And that's before we build all these 50-story buildings. It's a significant problem we're creating and making worse. So they use the wind speed from Pearson, the average speed at 30 meters above the ground. That's about here on this new tower, 30 meters. The wind that comes in from up here is many multiples of the one that's down here. And the other thing is they exclude 20% of the time when the wind's really severe. So they only do 80% of the time. So these wind studies are completely flawed. You guys have to create stricter standards for the wind studies that are prepared to allow these buildings to be approved. We're going to have a very extraordinary wind environment at Yonge and St. Clair with all these 50-story buildings. That's all I have to say. It's very flawed.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I also want to add, I'm a civil engineer, but my thesis was done on wind tunnel studies.
Boy.
Thanks. Councillor Fletcher.
Thank you. Don't go anywhere. Got a few questions. So that is currently, and I guess I'll ask planners, because do the developers, that's the standard they use because that is the city standard, or
I know
that's
it's the city standard.
the planning standard that is
It's
set by the
flawed.
Planning Act? So you're suggesting that from an engineering standpoint, the wind, we need to study it in a different way.
The other reason it's flawed is they're really dealing with pedestrian safety, that you don't blow away or fall over. But we live in a climate where 4 months of the year it's cold. And so there's such a thing as wind chill. And today was another perfect example. So it can be 0 degrees, not really too unpleasant, but with the wind chill, it's very unpleasant. So they don't consider that either.
Can I just
Wind
ask if
studies.
there's other cities that are northern cities that have a different standard for wind studies?
That I don't know, but that's worth exploring. Yeah.
maybe you might
Yeah,
look at
yeah,
that, and there might be some places that have,
yeah.
plus our streets are a little more narrow at times.
They
so
are narrow,
Does that
yeah.
create a different
Yeah.
force than if you have
Yeah.
some large avenues with development? Is
But-
there a different wind velocity that takes place when you have a narrower street?
Yeah.
Yes?
It's significant. And right now, we have buildings in the area that are, all of them are under 30 floors, significantly below 30 floors.
And
So when you build these taller buildings, they catch the even higher winds and they shoot them down to the sidewalk, and it's going to be very unpleasant.
thank you very much.
Thank you. Any further questions? Seeing none, thank you. Any other speakers on this item? Seeing none, thank you. Councilor Matlow.
So I have a couple of amendments on behalf of one on behalf of the Deer Park Residents Group with respect to a microclimate study for the Yonge and St. Clair area. And then I have another one that really just arose by hearing about the concerns in the Calvin Presbyterian Church to ensure that their concerns are heard out. And I've spoken with planning. They are being very gracious about wanting to meet with them, and I have no doubt that that will happen. Yonge and St. Clair is a remarkable neighborhood. It's a beautiful neighborhood, and it is going to be growing and changing extraordinarily over the next few years. Our priority as a community is to ensure that as it grows, and as I said, for those who live there today and for those who will live there tomorrow, that everyone has a great quality of life. We want to make sure that mistakes of the past in areas like Yonge and Eglinton and Yonge and Bloor and Willowdale, where services and infrastructure and green space did not keep pace with the growth in population, doesn't occur at Yonge and St. Clair. We're playing catch up in areas like Yonge and Eglinton. I know it well. So a priority is to ensure that if anyone, by the way, goes to Yonge and Eglinton and goes just south of Yonge and Eglinton, that long block between Berwick and Eglinton, you are thrown by the wind. And on a cold day like today, it's an awful experience. We don't want to see that happen in Yonge and St. Clair. So that's why I enthusiastically move this motion and in support of the residents' request. You can hear that the issues that they raise are very thoughtful. This is not even a debate over housing. It's really a focus on quality of life for everyone. When developers consolidate a number of properties on our main streets, as Councillor Fletcher has raised concerns about too, on behalf of her community, when they sit on those properties, and sometimes it can be for years, and especially in the recent climate with the high rates, it's been very difficult for the development industry often to move forward on some of these projects, so they sit there. And they become these vacant storefronts or sort of fly-by, these the kind of shops that are there as just sort of pop-ups or whatever, but it doesn't really, we don't see an investment into the kind of shops and restaurants and main streets that are animated and vibrant and contribute to the quality of life of the neighborhood. We need to get a handle on that, and we need to find new ways. Councillor Fletcher and I certainly want to work together on that to incentivize developers to utilize those properties, bring them back to life during the interim period until they're going to be redeveloped. So I'm very happy to be working with the community on these, I think, very thoughtful amendments on their behalf. And we are going to move forward on ensuring that we're not looking at each development in an ad hoc way, but looking at how each one of them impact the neighborhood collectively. And I would appreciate your support on both of those amendments.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Fletcher.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Matlow, and thank you to your community for coming out and raising some of these really important issues. And taking it not just from a site, but looking at it more generally and the impact on particularly on our main streets. I just want to flag one of the things you're talking about, which is the empty building syndrome, the tumbleweed syndrome, and that this is in particular an issue, including with Metrolinx closing down 2 blocks in a business improvement area that will be closed for at least 3, 4, or maybe 5 years, and just derelict buildings, something we don't want in the city. And with our transit-oriented communities that are being built up all along the transit lines that are being built by Infrastructure Ontario, I do think that Councillor Matlow will be very helpful to also look at all of the issues with wind and other things related to that perhaps they haven't thought about because they don't think about affordable housing in these sites. There is none, but they do have the ability through MZOs to simply impose a very large new community, multi-stories, but there are details that obviously communities like yours and mine are very concerned about that I think we can start working on from a planning perspective that might not be something that's being looked at the moment. So thank you very much for raising these important issues.
Okay, thank you. All those in favor of Councillor Matlow's motion, you want to put it on the screen? All those in favor? Opposed? Carried as amended. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Wonderful. Next item is T18. Oh yes, thank you. We have one item we'd like to add to the agenda. It's from Councillor Sachs. I think it's a speed bump, I think. All those in favor? That item? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Next item is T18.6, 536 to 538 St. Clair Avenue West zoning bylaw amendment application. Councillor Matlow. Any speakers on this item? Seeing none, Councillor Matlow. There's a motion.
Sorry, which number?
Number 6.
Oh, yes, to support the staff recommendations. Oh, sorry, I have a motion. I have a motion.
It's on the screen.
Yeah, we need a construction hub here, yeah.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Item as amended, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Item 18.7, 324 Gerrard Street East, Regent Park Phases 4 and 5, city-initiated zoning bylaw amendment. We have speakers on this item. First speaker up is Wali Kogali Ali. Are you here? Online, 5 minutes. Go ahead. 5 minutes. Go ahead. You're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Moyes and members of Council. I just want to quickly speak to this item, and I want to thank folks who have registered to depute. So I really appreciate the folks that have are online and hopefully in person that will speak to this item. So just want to start off by saying my name is Walid Kogali Ali, and I'm here representing the Regent Park Neighborhood Association, which serves over 17,000 residents, including market, homeowners, social housing tenants, and community members in Regent Park. Thank you for the opportunity to speak about the proposed zoning bylaw amendment for Regent Park Phases 4 and 5. I want to emphasize the community's concerns and our recommendations to ensure this redevelopment reflects Regent Park's vision as an inclusive, equitable, and an affordable community. The first item that I want to speak to is balanced housing mix and delivery of RGI units. At the February 29, 2024 Regent Park Community Update meeting, Toronto Community Housing Corporation made a commitment to a balanced 50-50 mix of rent geared to income and market units for any additional housing. Unfortunately, the current proposal includes 98 additional market units with no new RGI units, breaking this promise. The Housing Issues Report outlines 637 affordable units under the OPA 558 income-based affordability definition. However, these units are contingent on funding from various levels of government, leaving their realization uncertain. Our recommendation is to allocate at least 50% of the proposed 98 additional units as RGI units to restore balance and uphold commitments. prioritize securing funding for the full 637 affordable units planned for phases 4 and 5. Second item I'm going to speak to is reviving and expanding home ownership opportunities. Home ownership has always been a cornerstone of Regent Park revitalization, providing a pathway to stability and wealth building for low-income tenants. However, only 17 TCHC residents have benefited from home ownership opportunities in phases 4 and 5, as programs like the Daniels Boost Affordable Home Ownership Program and the TCHC Foundation programs have been suspended. We are encouraged by Daniels Corporation recent announcement of a $5 million commitment to the Partnership for Affordable Home Ownership Program, which has enabled 9 current or former TCHC residents to become homeowners at Daniels on Parliament. This is a positive step, but it's insufficient given the demand for affordable home ownership opportunities. Our recommendation is to expand programs like Daniels Partnership for Affordable Home Ownership and pilot a rent-to-own housing initiative for low-income tenants. We introduced the foundation programs which provided down payment assistance of up to 35%, enabling low-income residents to purchase homes. Home ownership is essential for building equity and reducing pressure on the rental market, making it a vital part of Regent Park's future. Thirdly, I want to speak to community spaces and needs. The Regent Park Space Needs Assessment highlights the inadequacy of the current allocation of 3,714 square meters of community space for phases 4 and 5. As Regent Park's population grows, so do the demands for community resources and programming. Our recommendation is to increase community space by at least 2,000 square meters, implement the Association of Community Centers, otherwise known as the AOCC governance model, to ensure community oversight and alignment with local needs. This model has proven successful in other downtown communities, such as such examples are the 519 and Scatting Court, and will foster social cohesion and inclusivity in Regent Park. Fourthly, I want to speak to developer accountability and community benefits. RPNA strongly opposes the just currently approved $325 million in developer subsidies and the City Council's motion 18.2. These funds will be better invested in rent-geared-to-income housing on city-owned land, directly addressing Toronto's housing crisis. Additionally, the proposed rezoning must include clear commitments from developers like Tridel to maximize community benefits under the new community benefits charge framework.
5 seconds.
Our recommendation is to redirect developer subsidies to fund RGI housing and enhance public infrastructure, ensure community benefit contributions address local needs, including family-sized units, aging-in-place accommodations, and accessible parking for TCHC tenants.
Thank you.
In conclusion,
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Moise.
Yes, any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, thank you. Miguel Avila, 5 minutes.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, everybody. Well, he touched the most important points in his deputation, which we support as member of the Regent Park Neighborhood Association. He touched the issue of community benefits. I want to make you guys aware that during the construction of phases 1, 2, and 3, there was no interest or motivation by the city or the developer to create job opportunities for people with mental and physical disabilities. So here we are, we're rezoning application for phases 4 and 5. I have asked Daniels Corporation through Brian May, the current manager, what are the plans of Daniels to address the lack of jobs for people with mental and physical disabilities. As you were aware of that presentation on Zoom, Chris, he said that he will come back to us with some ideas. We have a community consultation put forward by TCC, Tridel, and Daniels, and there was absolutely no mention about any job creation for people with mental and physical disabilities. We want to be not forgotten this time around. We need to do better. We also are humans. We need to have a chance to make a living. I used to be a community animator. I used to go door by door, conducting surveys, posting information on lampposts or community billboards. Unfortunately, this job is only a year long, and it doesn't lead to permanent employment, specifically when you have mental health and you disclose to a future employer, no, I don't want a crazy one working for me. You understand how the stigma is out there? Also, I mentioned to you when you became councilor of Ward 13 about the plans for 500 Dundas Street East, the current presentation center. It should have become by now, a long time ago, a housing for the people of Regent Park, but it has been empty for 80 years as a sales office. And now we have an opportunity, perhaps the mayor and Doug Ford and Justin Trudeau can make serious commitments and turn this land into the first indigenous co-op. I disagree with the plan put forward by Daniels of mixed housing. Come on, we don't need more empty condos up in the sky. There is an over surplus of condos. We need to have those promises made every September for truth and reconciliation. What are you gonna do about it? So why don't you take that land back, 500 Dundas Street East, and turn it into reality for the people of First Nations of this land. They deserve housing. And currently, Daniels has not yet selected who is going to be in partnership to develop this land. So I will say, put that aside. Let's go to the government. Let's go to Uncle Doug Ford, Uncle Justin Trudeau, and let's ask the mayor. Let's do this for the benefit of the community of Indigenous people living in Regent Park and beyond. And priorities for home ownership, I strongly support as many residents of the community are moving out of Regent Park, and it's sad to see that to happen because there is a limitation as to how many units of TCAC are in the community. Right now, we are representing 30% of the community makeup, 70% are condominium owners or renters. So we have become the minority, and the children that are growing up, they don't have the same opportunities, and we should encourage Daniels, Tridell, the city, Uncle Doug Ford, Uncle Justin Trudeau, please give us the money so we can have RGI units and be balanced, 50-50, and address the issues, please, of lack of jobs for people with mental health and physical disabilities, because it's shameful. We always talk about it, but we never put it in action. Thank you.
Thank you, Miguel. Any questions for Miguel?
I'm here 24 hours, guys. You know me.
We know. Thank you, Miguel. Next up is Shash Ahmed. Shaha Ahmed. Okay, next is Wendy D'Souza. Is Wendy D'Souza here? Okay, you have 5 minutes. Go ahead, Wendy.
Hello, good morning to Mayor Chow and members of the Toronto and East York Community Council. I hope folks can hear me well. My name is Wendy D'Souza. I'm here to speak as a concerned resident regarding the proposed zoning bylaw amendment for phases 4 and 5. Regent Park, as you all know, represents a very vibrant and diverse community, and its redevelopment must continue to prioritize equity, inclusion, and long-term sustainability. I will focus my comments today very quickly on 3 key priorities. The first priority, pathway to home ownership. Home ownership is a vital pathway to stability, equity building, and long-term security for tenants. In 2023, the mayor committed to a 200-unit rent geared to income home ownership pilot project After the meeting with the Regent Park residents on June 3rd, 2023, this initiative would give Toronto community housing tenants the opportunity to transition into home ownership, a very important milestone for financial independence. I urge the council today to prioritize this project and expand partnerships with federal and provincial governments to secure the necessary funding for affordable home ownership programs. And without such opportunities, many tenants in Regent Park may never have the chance to build stability and wealth. The second key priority is having a balanced housing mix. The Regent Park's redevelopment has always aimed to create a balanced and inclusive community. To achieve this goal, it is imperative to ensure that 50% of the additional units in phases 4 and 5 are rent geared to income. This balance will address the urgent housing needs of our communities and ensure that Regent Park remains a mixed income neighborhood where all residents, regardless of their financial circumstances, can thrive. And finally, the third key priority is the need for community spaces. Community spaces are the heart of Regent Park and benefit all residents across the city as well. They foster connection, empowerment, and belonging. However, as the population grows, the need for expanded community-governed spaces becomes even more critical. I strongly advocate for an additional 2,000 square meters of community-governed space that reflects the diverse needs of Regent Park residents. These spaces could be governed or should be governed under models like the Association of Community Centers, ensuring effective oversight and accountability to the community. In closing, Regent Park is not just a redevelopment project, it's a community. It's a home and it's a legacy of equity and inclusion. I urge the council today to support these priorities. The 200-unit rent geared to income home ownership pilot project, a balanced housing mix, and expanded community spaces. These measures will ensure that Regent Park continues to be a beacon of opportunity and inclusion for all. I want to thank you all for your time and really considering these critical recommendations, the future of Toronto, not only for our generation, but for 7 generations to come. Thank you all so much for your time today.
Thank you. Any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, thank you. Jason Rundle, are you here?
Online.
Jason? Is he online?
He's online. Is I muted? Do I unmute? Unmute.
Jason, can you speak? You're unmuted. Jason?
He's unmuted. Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's go to the next person. Rabia Al-Sabi? Rabia Al-Sabi?
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now. You have 5 minutes. Go
Yes.
ahead.
Yes. Good morning. To the members of the Toronto and East York Community Council, thank you for this opportunity to speak on this item regarding the Regent Park rezoning phases 4 and 5. As a resident and also an advocate for Regent Park, for the last 10 years, I would like to emphasize on the critical need to prioritize affordable housing for local residents as a part of the redevelopment for phases 4 and 5. Regent Park is a community rich in diversity and resilience, but also where residents face significant economic challenges. For decades, Regent Park home for affordable housing for many newcomers and for them those low-income families and seniors and newcomers and so on. As the revitalization project progresses, it's essential that the city maintains its commitment to ensuring that current and future residents are not displaced as a part of the revitalization. And that means it's not only Toronto Community Housing residents who has been here in the community before the revitalization, but also put in mind the president who has been here, rather market in the new buildings, or also the new affordable, which was built after the revitalization. That means residents has been here for at least the last 10 years. So I argue that council, to ensure that, I have just 3 points very quick. Affordable housing remains as a priority. The redevelopment must include substantial number of deeply affordable housing units that meet the needs of families, seniors, and individuals who own fixed incomes. Second, community engagement is a central for region, so ongoing consultation with Region Park residents must be a part of the planning process to ensure that redevelopment aligns with community needs and aspirations. But also the most important for me, last but not least, local residents are prioritized. Priority access to new housing opportunities should be given to, as I mentioned, market residents who have lived in region at least for the last 10 years, and they have contributed significantly through volunteer work and community advocacy, as well as to Toronto Community Housing residents who are currently underhoused to live in affordable housing buildings in region. So affordable housing is not just about providing shelter, it's about creating stability, opportunity, and equity by prioritizing affordable housing for Region Park residents. The council has a chance to uphold the principles of social justice and inclusion while fostering vibrant cohesive and cohesion community. Thank you for considering this important matter. As a resident, I really appreciate that, and many others. I trust that the council will make decisions that honor the legacy and future of Region Park as a community for all of us, and you and all residents. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions for the deputy? Seeing none. Thank you. Zarina Dergarat. Zarina, you here? No? Nazar Nashad? Nazar Nirshad?
Yes, good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the community, and everyone else. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to allowing me to speak. I'm speaking on behalf of the Region Park Clearance Rights Association and as a spokesperson of the Region Park community on behalf of the Region Park. I am a few of the previous spokespersons already mentioned the 3 most important points. I'm emphasizing on those 3. The number 1 would be the pathway to home ownership. I'm in support, and the community's demand is to support the 200-unit pilot project for rent geared to income homeownership to provide the opportunities for TCHC tenants to build stability and equality. And the second point, I'm supporting to balance the housing mix, ensuring that 50% of the additional units in phase 4 and 5 are the rent geared to income to meet the urgent housing needs of our community. And the third thing, I would support the community spaces. We need more community spaces, advocating for expanding the community governed spaces that reflect the diverse needs of Region Park residents and create a central hub for connection and empowerment. These 3 things are utmost important for the Region Park community members and the people who are living there, and to establish the equality, stability, and And this is the demand of the low-income community members and the future generations. I would hope that everybody supports these three causes and establish the social justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant? Seeing none, thank you. Next up is Debbie Haley. Are you here? Debbie Haley? Not here, okay. Mohammed Raisdeen? Mohammed Raisdeen, Mohammed Munas.
Good morning.
5 minutes, go ahead.
Good morning, members of Toronto and East York Community Council. My name is Mohammed Raisdeen Mohammed Munas, and I serve as the Vice President of Regent Park Tenant Right Association. I'm here today to advocate for redevelopment plan that prioritize the needs of tenants and the community over for-profit interest. Home ownership remain out of reach for most Toronto community housing tenants. The idea of owning a home is not just a dream, but a transformative opportunity, one that provides stability, builds equity, and offers pathway out of generational poverty. The proposed rent-to-own program is not just an option; it is a vital solution. This program would provide TCS tenants with the tangible and realistic path to home ownership by coupling affordable monthly payment with the opportunity to build equity. This program would enable families to move from precarious hosting situation into long-term stability. I urge the council to fully support the 200-unit pilot rent-to-own program, giving a low-income tenants a fair chance to own their homes and invest in their future. Home ownership is not just about individuals. It strengthens entire communities, making them more resilient and cohesive. The answer to the Regent Park housing challenges is clear. Investing in rent-to-income RGI housing, Toronto is the midst of housing crisis for profit developers. May promise quick fixes, but their interests lie in their maximizing profit, not in solving the structural issues we face. A 325 million bailout for profit developers is not the answer. Instead, we must commit to ensure 50% of additional unit in phase 4 and 5 rent to gear to income. This commitment will directly address the urgent need for deeply affordable housing while preserving the vision of Regent Park as an inclusive and equitable community. Public funds should serve the public good, not pay the profits of Regent Park was revitalized to create a diverse, inclusive, and thriving neighborhood as redevelopment process. We must stay true to the vision. This means investing in solutions that uplift tenants, provide long-term stability, and prioritize affordability. Allowing developers to dictate the terms and redevelopment will only accelerate equality and displacement. Instead, we must focus to tenant-centered solutions such as expanding RGI housing and home ownership program that empower families to remain in the community. The redevelopment of Regent Park is crossroad as decision makers. You have responsibility to ensure that this community remains a beacon of equity and inclusion. By supporting the rent-to-own program, prioritizing investment in RGI housing, if you will be making a stand for what is right and just. The residents of Regent Park do not need bailouts for for-profit developers. We need to build people-centered solutions that create pathway to stability, equality, and community cohesion. Thank you for your time, and I urge you to make decisions that reflect the true spirit Regent Park. Sincerely, Mohammed Raisdi, Mohammed Bunas, Vice President, Regent Park and Rights Association. When we were started this program long time ago, so there was they bring the issue for they're going to develop for the RGI people, but we see some advantage, some disadvantage. Please do something what we are requesting to consider about the people who are the
Thank you.
RGI unit people, rent-to-own income people. Please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions with Deputy? Seeing none, thank you so much for coming in today. Cindy May Dapa. You see her there? Cindy?
Hi.
Okay, 5 minutes, go ahead.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cindy May Dappo. I am a registered social worker and a current Masters of Social Work candidate. But before any of these elements of my identity, I am a former Regent Parker. Today, I am speaking in support of the Regent Park community to advocate for a redevelopment plan that stays true to our shared vision of equity and inclusion and opportunity for all. As a Regent Parker who had been moved out of the community, I continue to stand with the community that has helped shape my morals, values, and demonstrated longstanding value and hope and resilience of Regent Park. As we move forward with phases 4 and 5, we have an opportunity to solidify that vision by addressing critical housing and community needs. In relation to the home ownership proposals, home ownership is not just about acquiring property. It provides stability, equity, and breaking the cycle of poverty for low-income families. Historically, in the late 1970s, the opportunity for home ownership was proposed and provided to then residents of Regent Park. As the demographic of Regent Park changed in later years and socioeconomic changes within the entire city, this opportunity for home ownership was not presented. However, as we have seen, this opportunity presented itself once again through the Daniels Boost Affordable Home Ownership Program, in which 17 TCHC residents have been able to obtain home ownership. I urge this council to support a pilot project for RGI home ownership. This will provide low-income tenants with the opportunity to have more than just hopes and desires, but a tangible opportunity for these dreams to come true. These initiatives are essential for building wealth, reducing dependence on rental markets, and fostering long-term community stability by breaking barriers and breaking down the stigma associated with Regent Park. Moreover, in relation to the revitalization, as proposed, it was being grounded for a new opportunity to its community members in an effort to remove stigma. In relation to continuing to remove this stigma, I strongly advocate for 50% of the additional units in phases 4 and 5 to be allocated to rent geared to income housing. This will support the notions and stigma amongst the communities of low-income tenants and public housing in which we can all live in cohesiveness and the opportunity to address the critical housing issue within our city. Moreover, in relation to community spaces, a community is more about more than just housing. It's about connection and empowerment that has long-lasting foundation on individuals. As example for myself, Regent Park has been a home to me, my family, and friends that has been able to provide me with many opportunities that have led me to the place I am now, continuing my post-secondary education. However, this would not be possible without the opportunities that were provided to me within Regent Park. These opportunities were through community support programs, drop-in programs for youth, and support and education. Community space is a very important part of Regent Park. As growing up, we would utilize these spaces to occupy our time, gather, and again, create more opportunities. I also call on the council to expand community governed spaces that serve as hubs for residents to connect, access resources, and build their futures. There is a lot of great value, individuals, and opportunity for social mobility in Regent Park, and through these urgencies and calls for council, we'll be able to see these happen through the support of these programs. So that's all for now. Thank you for your time in considering these recommendations.
Thank you. Any questions for the deputant? Seeing none. And Shash Ahmed, I was told is still online. Do you want to unmute?
We're going to just promote. Okay, he's connected. We're just need him to speak.
Are you able to speak? You've been unmuted.
Okay.
You're unmuted. Go ahead and speak. Or forever hold your peace. Shash, Hamid, going once, going twice. Okay, thank you. So I wasn't going to speak to this item, but I'll say make a few comments. Again, this is a minor zoning variance. We've had umpteen public consultation on this item. I spend about 20% of my time as a counselor on this file. I'm on it, my staff's on it, various city departments on it, TCAC's on it. Like, it's just, we are constantly engaging the community. We have captured their concerns and their voices, and we amplify it. Even last week, I believe we actually had a public meeting just on the rezoning variance alone. And people spoke, and actually the people who actually showed up spoke in support of it because they were happy with it. So I was a little surprised this morning when I saw all these deputants here. And we keep going back to talking about rent to own. I mean, I don't know if you recall back in the 80s in the UK under Thatcher. She actually started a rent-to-own program, allow the residents to actually purchase the residence. And the majority defaulted and became underhoused. We don't want that to happen here. We also know that back in the 80s or so, there was a rent-to-own program here in Canada. And it was a 100-year or so mortgage that people actually never actually owned their properties because it was the banks who actually owned it. It was a scam. And I would not want that to happen to the people here in Regent Park or in the city or in the country. The one thing that has seemed to work over time is co-op housing, and something that we continue to support here in the city. But we also know that co-op housing is something that is funded by the federal government. And Toronto Centre is actually one of the most populated areas where we have co-op housing, especially around the Esplanade, the south end of my ward. And we'd like to see more of that here. But that's a provincial government, that's a federal government initiative that they need to put, their money where their mouths are. Also too, in phases 4 and 5, we've secured, I think, 20,000 square feet of public spaces because that's something the community have asked for and want. And that is actually in the plans itself. So I'm not quite sure what more we as a city can do. And I know that one of the things that's been talked about too is more rent care to income. One of the things we have guaranteed, and it is writing, that the rent care to income that is currently in Regent Park through phases 1 through 5 is guaranteed and will remain. What we cannot guarantee is more than what's already there. It costs about $8,000 a year to support one unit for rent care to income. It's the federal and provincial government that should actually, that's the number I was quoted, but it's more than that? Okay, more than that. I'm downplaying it a little bit. But it's the federal and the provincial government that actually need to actually support rent care to income. We as a city cannot do that and really should not do that. Our job should be building housing and creating more housing stock rather than actually putting that money towards rent care to income. So I have spoken about this ad nauseum. I'm not quite sure what else I can say about it, but this is good for the community. Since I've been here, we've actually increased more housing in phases 4 and 5, I think to an additional 800 plus more units of affordable units. It's not rent care to income, but affordable units. So we're really pushing the boundaries on this file. So I hope that people are listening to the experts around the table and not people that are giving them misinformation. On that note, you want to speak? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Fletcher.
Didn't ask ahead, but I will now. Thank you, Councillor Moyes, because you've picked up this such an important project, the Regent Park redevelopment, which had its early roots 2005, so it's been ongoing for 20 years or so, and will continue to be going for a number of years. The interesting, that was phases 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not all redevelopments have so many phases. They may have 1 or maybe 2. Lawrence Heights has a few, but Regent Park is truly the queen of all TCHC redevelopments because of the number. And I think it's helpful for you, hoping that people that were making deputations or others who are listening are able to understand this journey that Regent Park redevelopment has been on, because originally it was only the replacement of the 2,500 Regent Park units plus 5,000 new condos. Things have shifted so dramatically over that time, and that was how it was proposed because it was brand new. When it was first proposed, there was a real question as to whether or not it could be successful, whether or not people would move into a condo in Regent Park. There was a stigma, which has been broken down completely. It is a very vibrant new community with so many things that you are shepherding into its last final phases, Councillor Moyes. But I just want to draw everybody's attention to the fact that when discussions were underway, there had to be a 4 and 5. The model for redevelopment for Toronto community housing is that the private market homes pay for the replacement of the rent geared to income homes. That's the model. There's no secret money or other money somewhere. That's the foundation. That has been from start to finish how that has worked. If there are other dollars from the federal government, then that can go to lowering the affordability of the affordable housing, of the market, adding affordable. And you'll remember that the Auditor General in 2017 had a report that chastised Toronto community housing and said, you have so much land, like let's take Lawrence Heights, which has 100 acres. And in the development proposal, there was only one new affordable home that was being proposed. So that was a watershed moment to, if you're building, add more. And under the leadership of Councillor Moyes, Councillor Wong-Tam, Deputy Mayor McConnell, that has been the model, and the city to include affordable housing into the model. And of course, had to add and increase the density from the original, which was quite low density for the market homes. The number of RGI units, as you pointed out, Councillor Moyes, they're static. It's not as if we can just pick new ones. So if you're going to take RGI out of the system, you have to replace RGI. The model in Toronto for redevelopment is unlike any model anywhere else in the world, in the US and other places, where they can lessen the number of rebuilt RGI units and they can give people vouchers, such as in Chicago. They did not rebuild all of those units. They have vouchered people into other parts of the city. Our requirement is one-for-one replacement in every redevelopment, whether it's Wood Green, whether it's Toronto Community Housing, and the number of RGI units can only be increased by the province. Now, recently, through a housing secretariat, RGI units can be transferred. So a building that might be all 100% RGI can have affordable units moved in, and those RGI units moved to blend and create different blends of housing in many different places that are public housing. So it's all a bit of it's great. People are thinking in a forward way. There's no magic formula. There's no magic money. There is a number of RGIs, and so I appreciate, Councillor Moyes, your constituents asking to build 100 affordable or home ownership. That would mean that 100 new RGIs would have to be built, because our model is every time you take an RGI unit out of the system, you must replace it. And I'm not sure, I know those who have been involved in that redevelopment for many years know that, your tenants and others in the community, but I think we all need to be reminded of that from time to time. So thank you for allowing me 5 minutes.
Thank you. Got to mention as well, the reason why this is before us is because we found out there is a vortex below the Regent Park, Gerrard area that comes from Councillor Matlow's ward, from Yonge and Eglinton, that actually feeds right through the core of the city down to Regent Park. That cannot be disturbed, otherwise we're all in big trouble. Anyways, I'm going to move staff's recommendation. Do I need to post it, or is it good? Do you need to post it? No?
No, we don't. Just
okay. I'm going to adopt staff's recs. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. Okay, the next item is item 8. T 18.8, 307 Sherburne Street Official Plan and Zoning Bylaw Amendment Application. Seeing no speakers on the... Anyone wants to speak on the item? Seeing none, that's what I was alluding to. Seeing none, I'm going to adopt staff's recommendation. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Item T 18.9, I've been practicing this. No, give me a second. Designation of the Tayagon Bawi Heritage Tayayagon Bawi B Heritage Conservation District under Part 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act.
You have one speaker.
We do have one speaker. Okay. Mary Ann Demont Whelan. Online. Mary Ann? You have 5 minutes, go ahead. Mary Ann?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can now, go ahead.
Thank you. I know that Tiegon, that it's a bit difficult if you don't know the area, so I'll just clarify. We're looking at the designation of the Tiegon Baby Point Heritage Conservation District under Part 4 of the Ontario Heritage Act. Dear members of Toronto and East York Community Council, my name is Marianne DeMonte Whalen, and I am chair of the Baby Point Heritage Foundation and representing this and the neighborhood membership in today's meeting in support of the HCD designation. Founded in early 2010, the Baby Point Heritage Foundation began as a collaboration of neighbors with common interest and a shared goal to preserve and protect the built heritage of this exceptionally unique neighborhood. Concerned by interest in demolishing or radically modifying the exterior of homes and streetscapes of Baby Point, and catalyzed into action by the demolition of a heritage arts and crafts home, the group decided to incorporate the Baby Point Heritage Foundation with a view to educate and inform residents and the public of the heritage neighborhood, which is historically, architecturally, and archaeologically significant to the City of Toronto, the province of Ontario, and to Canada. And all of this is outlined in the excellent work and report done by city staff and included with the materials on this file. Since our incorporation, we have collaborated with Heritage Preservation at the City of Toronto on an ongoing basis to achieve the goal of a Heritage Conservation District for the neighborhood. We fully support the proposed recommendation by City Manager, Heritage Support, Heritage Planning, and Urban Design. We acknowledge the incredible amount of work undertaken by staff to bring this forward, both within the current neighborhood and the outreach to urban Indigenous communities to ensure their support of the designation, and are grateful for all their efforts on this project. We recommend that the Toronto and East York Community Council approve this designation, which has been entailed much work over many years. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the deputants? Seeing none, thank you. Any other deputants in the room? Seeing none, okay, Councillor Perks.
Thank you. I hadn't expected that Babi would be the pronunciation dispute there. I thought people might struggle with Tiegon, but there you go. I just want to thank the deputy, thank the community, and draw to members' attention the incredible work our Heritage Department did, really groundbreaking work to involve Indigenous leaders and the Indigenous community in the City of Toronto in creating a heritage conservation district. This site is particularly important, and if anyone wants to be bored for a good 45 minutes, I'll explain why. But it really is a landmark in the city's heritage work being tied to our reconciliation obligations. So congratulations to Toronto City staff for that achievement. And with that, I commend the report to you and hope we get a strong vote in favor.
Well, thank you. Seeing no other speakers, all those in favor, opposed, carried. That's unanimous. TE 18.10, designation of the West Queen West Heritage Conservation District Plan under Part 5 of the Ontario Heritage Act. Councillor Bravo. No speakers, no deputants. Okay. Go ahead, Councillor Bravo.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. I'm delighted to move the staff recommendation and to say that many members of the community in Ward 9, Ward 10 have participated in this process, which has been robust, engaging, and this community will be very happy to receive this and to know that it will be adopted at this committee. I hope everyone supports it. Thank you.
Thank you. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. TE 18.11, 53 Strachan Avenue, inclusion on the Heritage Register. Councillor Fletcher, on behalf of Councillor Deputy Mayor Malik.
Yes.
Item 11.
Item 11, it is move staff recommendations, please.
Okay. All those in favor? Staff's rec. Opposed? Carried. TE 18.12, 81 Isabella Street, inclusion on the Heritage Register. Number 12, I'm going to adopt staff's recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. I'm assuming in your minds you're raising your hand.
Keeping in mind what?
I'm assuming in your mind your hand is raised.
You know what?
I envision it.
Good, you've got a great
I'm
imagination.
not sure if that's legal, but whatever. TE 18.13, 8 Pilton Crescent, residential demolition application. Councillor Sachs. Sorry, Councillor Matlow. My apologies. Three options.
Which item again, Mr. Chair?
13.
13.
Lucky 13.
Yes, I have approved with conditions.
You approve the conditions? Do we have a motion? Okay. All those in favor?
That's the one.
Okay, all those in favor, opposed, carried. T 18.14, 33 Pleasant Boulevard, residential demolition application, Councillor Madwa.
To approve with conditions.
Okay, we'll post it. All those in favor, opposed, carried. Thank you. T 18.15, refusal of a sidewalk cafe permit application location at 160 Pierce Avenue, Unit 110. And I'm going to adopt the alternative recs. We have a motion?
No. There's,
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
so number 15.
You know what? I'm looking at my, the wrong item here.
No worries.
TE 18.15.
Right, so
That's
this
you.
is a sidewalk.
1 second, sorry.
One speaker.
Yes. I'm looking at my item.
When
I had.
you get it together up there.
1 second, yep, go ahead. We're on item 15. Wendy Gross. The two other speakers have withdrawn. Wendy Gross, are you here? Okay, not present. Anyone in the room want to speak to this item? Seeing no one? Okay, Councillor Sachs, it's all yours.
Yes, well, I wasn't expecting anyone because this item is being withdrawn. Consultation with the neighbors haven't yet happened. It'll come back in the new year. Try that again. Yes, I'm. Right, this item is being withdrawn at the request of the applicant. It'll come back in the new year after they've consulted the neighbors. I do have one request. When we finish this item, if we could go back to.
I have a question on this item.
Okay, once we finish this item, if we could go back to 18.4, my motion's ready. I'd like to let staff go, but go ahead, yes.
Being held, I would guess your item, is it not?
Yes.
The holds. My question has to do with this withdrawal.
Okay.
Which I'll support. But I believe that City Council, then we have gone back to our original flankage patio cafe application, and I'm wondering from staff if anybody's here who can tell us when we will now have that implemented.
Okay. Staff?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Well, during COVID.
Yes.
All our rights were removed as a community council and councilors over approvals. We really recently reinstated our approvals of flankage cafes.
Yes.
And I'm wondering when that will be actually done, at what level and
The
time.
question's for staff. Anyone here can answer the question? Or we can take that back, Councilor Fletcher, if no one can answer it.
There's nobody here.
There's no one here to answer your question.
No, then I'll speak as well to the withdrawal, that's fine.
You want to speak to withdrawal? Okay, go ahead, speak to withdrawal.
I just want to note that, and I'm supporting the withdrawal, and happy to hear somebody is going to be speaking to the residents, but we recently reinstated, it took me 6 months to have that, well, years actually, to have our rights reinstated and the rights of our residents reinstated, to say that a flankage patio is not a good idea on that street. So that always leads to a discussion with the applicant and the neighbors, which was not something that was required since COVID or until City Council last time actually made that change. So I'm very interested to know at what point, since we made that change, will that become the operational standard here at Toronto and East York Community Council? And it is more than 2 objections. It can't just be one person. With 2 objections, it has to come here to be approved or denied. So it allows our residents a say in flankage patios, which in the old city of Toronto, they've had for probably 40 or 50 years. It was taken away in COVID. It was kept away from us until we recently reinstated that at the last council meeting. So it's nothing, in general, it's not about this specific application, Councillor Sachs. It's just in general, I'm flagging that my expectation is that the new system or the old system will be fully reinstated very shortly at Toronto East York Community Council, and asking when that might be. But hearing nobody's here, I'm sure somebody will be answering that question for us in the very near future. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you to Councillor Fletcher, because this application was certainly a big surprise to me and to the neighbors. I deferred it twice, having requested the applicant to speak with the neighbors. They promised and promised and promised and didn't do it. So if we didn't have that coming here, the neighbors wouldn't have been heard. This would have been approved already, and there'd be a big problem. So thank you.
Yeah,
That's why we did it. Thank you for using it.
Do we have a motion for refusal?
Just to withdraw?
Just to withdraw?
Yeah.
Do we have a motion?
So I have a motion to withdraw the item.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, carried, thank you. I do want to go to the last timed item, which is TE 18.16, refusal of sidewalk cafe permit application located at 2 Irwin Avenue, local road frontage. And I do have adopt an alternative recommendation, which is here. Okay. All those in favor? Opposed, carried, thank you.
Next item is
21. Okay. Can we just, 1 second. Okay, we're going to go back to the beginning of the agenda, which is item T 18.4, 452 Bathurst Street zoning bylaw amendment application with city-initiated official plan amendment. Councillor Sachs. There's no speakers on this item. Councillor Sachs?
Yes, I have a motion.
Okay.
It is my usual motion on these things. This is an application that was filed many years ago and was allowed just to stagnate and drag on and drag on and drag on and drag on, never got resolved. And so working with staff, we're moving it through to an approval. This would be a very reasonable and appropriate development in this location, very close to the Toronto Western Hospital. The current site is badly underused. And there are some issues, of course, with traffic and so on, which would be dealt with at site plan. But for now, we're going to approve the application as filed quite some time ago with the usual environmental conditions, and directing the applicant to attempt to provide actual parkland, not just a cash in lieu. We need the park. Thank you.
Okay, all those in favor? Those carried, thank you.
And the next item, I'm deferring to the
All
next
right,
meeting.
item is amended. All those in favor? Those carried. Sorry, I need to go through the agenda, so please bear with me, okay? T 18.21, 95 St. Joseph Street, construction staging area. Councillor Sachs.
Yes, deferring this to the next meeting. They haven't yet met with the neighbors.
Okay, deferring to the next meeting. All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.29, pay and display parking Berryman Street. Councilor Sachs.
I have a motion.
Okay.
Thank you. This motion is a result of extensive consultations with Jesse Ketchum School and the residents of Berryman Street as to how to reconcile the many competing demands for very limited public space. It extends permit parking, introduces paid parking, introduces a no stopping zone so the garbage truck can actually pick up the school's garbage, and preserves the no parking area so that parents can drop their kids off and pick them up at the daycare. And it goes with the Berryman speed hump motion, which is coming.
Okay, all those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 18.38, traffic calming and parking amendment. Sorry, where am I? 3.4, sorry. T 18.34, reappointment of board member on the Cecil Community Center Board Management. Councilor Sachs.
I move the staff recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 18.38, traffic calming and parking amendments. Dale Avenue. Councilor Sachs.
I move the recommendations.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.54, speed hump installation, Berryman Street. Councilor Sachs.
I think 53 is Beatrice.
Sorry.
I do want to do Berryman, but we should do Beatrice first.
Let's just do Berryman. I'm on it.
You moved on to Berryman, 54? All right, well, I moved the staff recommendation.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Oh, these are all your recs. Okay, these are your recs. Okay. T 18.53, speed hump installation, Beatrice Street between College Street and Montrose Avenue. Councilor Sachs.
Yes, I move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 18.55, speed hump installation, Clinton Street. Sachs.
At the request of my residents, I move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 18.56, speed hump installation, Devonshire Place between Bloor Street West and Hoskin Avenue. Councilor Sachs.
Yes, at the request of the University of Toronto to protect pedestrian safety, I move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Thank you. T 18.57.
At the request of the
Installation, Manning Avenue between College Street and Bloor Street. Councilor Sachs.
At the request of the residents, I move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. Okay, and the items now. TE 18.66, addressing traffic concerns on Austin Terrace. Councilor Sachs. Oh, sorry, Matlow, sorry.
I move my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 18.67, reinstalling a traffic control personnel at the intersection of Young and Heath Street West. Councilor Matlow.
I move my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. T 18.68, change to Danforth Business Improvement Area Board of Management. Councilor Bradford.
I'd like to move the recommendations in my letter, please.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried. TE 18.69, traffic calming at McPherson Avenue and Young Street. Councilor Sachs.
Yes, at the recommendation of the Neighborhood Association, I move the recommendations in my letter.
All those in favor? Opposed, carried.
Okay, just 1 second, just waiting for them to update the bill. There is an amendment for the end.
Okay. All right. Yeah, we did.
6.65, they were adopted.
Yeah. That was early on. Thank you. Okay, these are the bills. That bills 1251 to 1257, 1259 to 1265, and 1269 to 1277 prepared for the December 4th, 2024 meeting 18 of the Toronto and East York Community Council be declared as bylaws and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. That confirmatory bills to confirm the legislative proceedings of the Toronto and East York Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 18 on December 4th, 2024, be declared as the bylaw and passed subject to section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. And that concludes our meeting for the day. Thank you, and see you in the new year. And thank you to our amazing staff as well.